Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the Gfinity 100K. Puckett joined by the very awesome analysts. We got Gunshi and Shane, former TCM pros, some of the best to ever come out of Europe. Fellas, awesome day 1, but what are you looking forward to most here day 2?
I'm looking forward to, there's a lot of good games going on today, so it's going to be a lot better than yesterday, put it that way. But TCM or Optic Nation, that's definitely going to be a standout match. But both Optic teams have got hard, tough matches, and it's a good test. So we're looking at MV and OG as well. That's going to be a tough game. And also this game on main stage, we got Elevate and Epsilon going ahead. So it's a 50-50 in my opinion, considering how well Epsilon are actually playing at the minute.
50-50.
That's the way I say it, yeah.
It's pretty nice towards the Europeans. I'm going to go 75-25. Shane, what are you looking forward to most, my friend?
First of all, we've got a good start to the day with Epsilon and Elevate. I would love Epsilon to win, but they're coming up against a great squad today. But I think the biggest game today is TCM and Optic Nation. Nation are looking to get TCM are looking to get revenge against Nations. I think they lost 3-1 or 3-2 at UMG Dallas. So knowing Moose and Jared, they're going to be fired up to get their own back on them.
It's going to be an awesome matchup. For those of you guys who are just joining us, this is, of course, a 3-day event. We started with group play yesterday, and we continue it this morning. We're going to play out our final 12 matches. We've got 2 teams sitting in the winner's match. Everyone else is going to be in that lower bracket, and we're going to be starting off with those winner's matches. So if you win, you're into the final 8 bracket play. You're guaranteed at least $2,500. It's going to be very exciting. And then Sunday, of course, it's Championship Sunday. We're going to play out every single bracket match tomorrow. But Gunshi, break it down for me. How is the whole format going to work out for those who are just joining?
So anyone that wins the second game today will go through to the group play. So if you get top 8, basically, when you get into the groups, you'll guarantee yourself some cash to take home. So these people that are playing these matches on main stage today, there's a lot on the line. They're going to be walking home with some money if they manage to win their games. And then if you can get further and further on, there's massive amounts of money as you progress through the tournament, going up to 50,000, the winners take home.
Biggest prize pool we've seen here in the UK for Call of Duty. Pretty awesome stuff. And Shane, how important is it to get that highest seed coming out of your group?
99% of the time, it will mean you get to play supposedly a weaker team in the first qualifying round, which you want, because as soon as you get that, you've got a good chance of winning quite a bit of money.
Right.
There's 100 grand up for grabs in the next 2 days. We're going to be looking at, there's going to be some rounds of S&D that are probably going to be worth $20,000. So the pressure's going to be on for these teams. But winning your group's going to be insanely important because everybody wants that money. We haven't had this amount of money in Europe before. So this is the first event for it, and everyone wants that.
If you guys haven't seen the brackets, here's how they played out starting yesterday. We did all of the winners bracket round 1 basically in each group. You're going to see Optic Gaming hits VWS with a hot 3-0. Envious beats Hyper Games. That was actually a very close series. The final uplink was just a 1-point game. So you notice VWS and Hyper Games fighting for their lives a little bit later on. In Group B, though, this was a pretty one-sided affair for FaZe. Meanwhile, we saw the first major upset, Infused over Team Caliber in this group. I don't think a lot of people from the U.S. saw this coming. Very few could even name the members of Infused. Great 5-game series there, and they clutched up in the final S&D. So TK up against the wall. In Group C, though, this has been one of the groups I've been looking forward to the most. We already saw Epsilon taking Rise Nation the distance. Mad Cat went off, the whole team playing very well yesterday. Now they have to go toe-to-toe against Elevate, which is half a Denial, half a Elevate members combined for this tournament. Rise Nation there in the lower bracket. And Group D, this is the match Shane and I have been talking about. You're going to see TCM versus Optic Nation. The closest match, it didn't go 5 games, but I think it was that TCM versus Vitality last night to close out the evening. Shane, what did you see from both squads that had you impressed?
TCM for starters, TP. He's been struggling online recently with the connection problem and stuff like that, but he's been playing insane. The first game against Vitality, in my opinion, he was their best player. Eggs played great too. Moose had a lot of critics before this event, and he shut them all up completely, to be honest. He's putting up huge numbers across the board, and Jared just doing what he does. You said before you'd like to see him do what he wants more often, and he started doing that against Vitality.
Were you surprised to see Moose going back to the sub and having Eggs carry the bow?
Yeah, I think it was a good idea from the team. They need to get Moose more aggressive, and then when Moose gets really aggressive, he gets in people's faces and he gets really loud in the booth. He creates hype, and when Moose gets going, it kind of sets the whole team up to play better. So Moose is a really key factor in this team.
So that's kind of the key rundown of our Saturday, but we've been talking big picture. And in fact, before we get to the big picture predictions, we should break down the full schedule for you guys. We have 2 stages, 2 streams. So open up another tab, get ready to watch the Challenger stream, as well as the action that you'll see right here on the main stage. It opens up Epsilon versus Elevate. First spot for a chance to play in that bracket. Infused versus FaZe Clan, followed by that TCM Optic Nation match that we've been hyping up. And really, we haven't been talking enough about Optic Gaming versus Envy, which is still to come later today. Over on the Challenger stage, though, we are going to see Rise Nation versus IGI, TK Liquid, Vitality versus the Spanish team Spirit Gaming, and then VWS facing off the French Hyper Games. But those are all the matches coming this weekend. Let's talk our goals and our thoughts coming into the entire tournament. Who did you guys have taking the whole thing? I
couldn't see anyone but FaZe. They played out of their minds this event. It may have been a bit of a ballsy call for myself, but I did tip them to not drop them out the entire event. But they're capable of doing it, but it's going to be incredibly hard. If Clay plays how he always plays, and with the addition of Attach to, he's such like an aggressive player, fast player, they're a nightmare to beat. But I think they're the only team capable of stopping Optic this weekend.
Gunshi, after watching Optic dominance over VWS yesterday, you still feeling confident in your pick?
Yeah, without a doubt. That I can't really say that they're not the favourites for this tournament. The team is the lineup is just incredible. It's like full of talent like across the board. So I think they can take it against FaZe, but it will be a close matchup.
And then, of course, our dark horses. If it's not Optic Gaming, if it's not FaZe winning the whole thing, some of the squads we think could surprise everyone. I picked Elevate. You know, we see Matt going with this squad as well. You two, feeling Epsilon since the very beginning. They've already pulled off one upset yesterday over Rise Nation. They have an opportunity to take out that Elevate squad that Matt and I are looking forward to. You see Courage, he went with Rise Nation. Momo going with TCM there with Maven. And Rel's dark horse, I don't know if Rel knows how this works. He went with Optic Gaming. But that's a look at our caster predictions. I've also made some additional picks here. Vulcan.com is sponsoring this event. We've seen it throughout the Call of Duty scene recently. And the fantasy site allows you to pick 8 of your favorite players and really just pick out the guys you think are going to put up the biggest numbers throughout the weekend. My squad, I loaded it with Bals. So if you're playing on Vulcan.com, it's all about spending your $10,000 wisely. I went Octane, Clayster, Apathy, Formal, Moch as my major Bals. Then I got the subs, Aqua, Zuma, and I think we're going to see Slacked running it quite a bit. So far, Clayster and Zuma dropping 95 kills combined in their first hardpoint. I think those are going to be my money makers this weekend.
You can pick me on Vulcan if you like. It costs about 20 quid.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, but Zuma, he's been playing out of his mind the last 3 or 4 months or so. I don't know what happened after Champs. He's literally turned into one of the best players in the game. He's only $1,266 too, so if you want to put some money on that, it could be some quite easy cash for you.
He's the steal on Vulcan.com right now, guys. Well, of course, this is the Top Man analyst booth, and our friends over at Top Man took care of our casters yesterday. They had quite a bit of fun, and we have it all broken down for you in this short video.
A little bit different to your normal Friday.
If they have this in my size, I could rock it to the heartbeat.
Decisions, right? So like I've got a suit, but I've also got a cape.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I feel good. This is a good one. This one, I think this one's a keeper.
Shane, it looks like you guys had a bit of a blast yesterday.
Oh, it was a great day. Free clothes and free beers, like the best day I could ever imagine.
Gunchy, best dressed, worst dressed out of that group?
Definitely Jack was the worst.
Jack was the worst?
Oh, yeah.
Not going to disagree with that.
And I have to go with Mr. McCarroll to my right-hand side.
Yeah, Jack went for the Ryan Gosling look yesterday because he's a little rounder than Ryan. Mike Kent called him Ryan Gosling XL. I thought that was the best shout of the day, in my opinion.
He said he doesn't mind the nickname XL. I'm like, that's sticking the rest of the week.
Any name associated with Ryan Gosling, everyone would be happy with.
It's pretty good. I was actually really impressed that they made Maven look like an adult. Same thing going for Brycey there. So shout out to Top Man there. Guys, we got to go to a quick commercial break. Before we do, though, we got to let you know of what's going on at Gfinity.net. If you guys haven't been there already, make sure you go and register today. You can win prizes worth 1,000 quid. Is that how you say it over here? I call it London bucks.
It's London bucks. That's
London bucks. You can win 1,000 London bucks, and if you don't live in London, you got to come here to spend them. Anyway, go to Gfinity.net, register right now. Go get in on the action if you want to compete at home, and of course, follow Gfinity everywhere. You can find it below YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You got it all, man. Social media.
On Instagram.
You know how to do it. And of course, tweet out the stream, guys. We got Epsilon going up against Elevate, the first match of the day, coming up after this.
Wait, you're not on it? I'm on it.
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 Where are you at?
You want to rub my boner?
Here comes the money. Money, money, money. Dollar, dollar.
Interesting choice it would be, but he doesn't pull it. Gets it. There's one. Oh, it's
no,
going to be
he's
close.
He gets the second one. Clay, the MVP with the two snipes. All smiles, high fives coming from attached. The birthday boy able to pick it up.
Wow, and look at that, the accuracy there. And I mean, you know, in those close calls, they didn't really have full control. They were defending the flank over and over again. And I think we're doing it. Eventually, you will get overwhelmed in that position. The other thing will be able to eventually break it, get like maybe get a 2 meter touch. Oh my goodness! There's the 4-2. Can he pick it up? He gets it. Oh my! The entire team at TCM taken out in a matter of seconds. Attach, man. He is young. He is still developing as a player, but God, he is disgusting. Trying to stop this push, but takes down both. He runs.
And we are back live from London. Welcome back to the Gfinity Arena. Puckett here with Gunsheet and Shane. And guys, the match is moments away. Before we get to it, we, of course, got to recap yesterday. We were 2 for 4 as a squad. Gunsheet, real quick, predictions to start the day off. Is it going to be Epsilon? Is it Elevate?
I said 50-50 before, but I'm going to be a bit European biased here, so I'm going to say 3-2 Epsilon.
I've been wrong every time so far, and I want Epsilon to win, so I want 3-0 Elevate.
3-0 Elevate. I'm going 3-1 Elevate. I think they might struggle in one of the search and destroys. Epsilon looking very strong as they closed out TK, but it's anyone's game. Guys, let us know on Twitter. Are you going Epsilon? Are you going Elevate? The match is kicking off in just a few moments. The best of 5 to determine who will be the first team advancing to the bracket. Also, over on our Challenger stream, we got the VP brothers bringing you the action of yet another matchup. You can catch it all live right here on MLG.TV. Open up both windows. Watch all the action, guys. The match is ready to go. Let's send it down to Ryan Gosling XL and his big brother, Mr. Maven.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christopher. Maven here, joined by Jack.
It's actually, he's doing it.
If you weren't watching last night, Jack and I closed out the Bravo station. Jack thought he had a fever. He wasn't feeling great. How you feeling today, bud? You got a good night's rest?
8 hours of sleep.
I look like a waiter mixed with, like, Agent Smith from The Matrix.
You forced me to give you my sunglasses, I think, just to make your sex appeal a little bit higher. If you're single,
I feel incredible.
If you're single and you want a young, athletic, in-shape man, don't look for Maven, look for the opposite of that and pick him up. He's a great pickup. He'd be a great father to however many children you want to have.
Well, now my feelings are hurt. It's gonna be wild going into the cast now that my entire life has been shattered before me. But here we go, match number 1. I casted up. I gotta take these off. I can't do it anymore. Okay, now I can actually see. Here we go. Thank you, Jack. All right, Epsilon going up against Elevate.
Yeah.
I watched him play against Rise yesterday. Looked very, very strong. Went to a game 5. I think it was 9 rounds or so. Really back and forth yesterday. If this was the full Elevate roster, I think I'd be thinking more of an Elevate 3-0.
Oh, absolutely.
But since we don't have the full Elevate roster, what are your thoughts going into this?
You got to have some doubts, but the 2 pickup players they have in Slasher and Replays are no slacks, to say
whatsoever.
The least. Slasher, one of the top 5 KDs in the MLG Pro League, but we're heading into map number 1. There's a look at how the series is going to break down. Biolab, Hardpoint, then we'll move into Search and Destroy on Detroit, Comeback, Uplink, Hardpoint on Retreat, and then finally Solar, S&D to finish it out, if it goes there. Do you think it can go all the way?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, if Epsilon plays like they did yesterday, the big question mark for me is really how's this team going to gel? You know, Classic and Replays historically, they played together, they played solid. I don't think there's going to be any issue there. I guess I really don't know why I think there would be any issue. These guys should gel pretty well, but you're losing TJ and Saints, which are arguably your 2 best S&D players. I think that's kind of the scary part for me. At least they've really, the games I've cast in the Season 3 League, they've been going off together.
Well, off the start, you can see the contest for this first hardpoint always happening on this green side of the map. Epsilon getting the favorable spawn. Typically, this team that spawns bottom blue gets the early advantage on this first hardpoint, and they're doing just that with a 17-0 lead.
Great start here coming out of Epsilon. Now, game number 1 yesterday, Mad Cat went off. I think he had something, he was like 39 and 22, something ridiculous in game number 1. Really had a monster game. Didn't really go off in the later hard point. I want to see if he can get a big game 1 here. And the guy that really needs to play strong for me on Epsilon in order for them to win is going to be Reedy. Reedy yesterday had a very tough game number 4 with Solar hard point. I think he was like 4 and 25 at some point. Could not get rolling. Let's see if his woes continue and respawn today.
Well, beautiful start from Epsilon. Not only did they get the early advantage holding down that Circle Hill, they held it through the end. 38-0 lead after the first minute of play. Finally, Elevate gets some seconds on the board.
You know, you have a big advantage as the blue spawn here. It's a known
really
factor. You do. I don't know how much we can take from that first hard point. We see that happen pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Off the start of the second hill, though, Slack continuing to hold it down for his team. He's 5-4 at the moment. Make it 6-4 now. Slasher sitting top. Eskies just rocking the bow. You're going to see him hold this all series long. one of the vital players to this team. He's more of an aggressive AR type of player. Right now, though, Elevate still finds themselves behind.
I think Slack and Slasher are really going to have to go off for this team to win. Replays and Classic, incredible players in their own right, veteran players, but don't usually expect them to put up massive numbers in Respawn. You're going to need that out of Slasher and Slack. I think Slack coming out of X Games was one of the best players in the game. He was playing phenomenally, arguably the MVP of that event for me. Just every game he was going off, just playing out of his mind. He's been performing pretty well in the league, but he's talked about the fact that he's not the best online player. He's been struggling at times. I got to think he's pumped to get back on land.
And Maven, this is something we've heard a lot from a lot of players in the scene as of late. Slack, as you said, Slack, not the first that comes to mind in top 10, top 5 players, but he's very good. An underrated player, doesn't have all that pressure on him to perform in recent weeks and recent months. His name is becoming up more and more about the caliber player he is.
At
Expected to go big this weekend.
Monster, man. I mean, he was crushing in everything. Really any game type. He didn't have any hiccups. I mean, I was trying to think back to the games I casted him at X Games. Every single game mode, every map, he was going off, just completely crushing. He had his full family there. His girlfriend was there. Everyone was behind him. You could tell he was happy. He had a smile on his face pretty much the whole weekend. Just really going off, and I want to see if he can continue it in here. But right now we got replays. He was on a 3 streak there, pushing out to 12 and 9, finally going to fall. But you do see with the scoreline, that early 40-0 lead is pretty much evaporated here.
Yeah, after the first hill, it's been 75 seconds to about 20 of that out of Epsilon. They're able to get the last bit of scrap time on blue, but the early rotation going over to Elevate yet again, and Maven replays. 12 and 9, now 12 and 10 to start off the game. That's what you need from your dedicated objective player.
Yeah, it's funny because I said, replays in Classic, I don't think have to, and I don't think they will carry the slaying role, but now
they're doing that.
Yeah, they're leading the way. And this reminds me almost of Ghost, man. When they're playing together in Ghost at times, you see them on Strike Zone Dom. Both of them would just be going off, having these massive games. There were times when together, man, they just put together this duo slaying effort, and we're seeing a bit of that right now. It's got to be fun for them to play together again.
Maven, these guys were in here hours before their first match today, having a good time, playing some 8s, warming up. At the moment, though, it's still nearly a tied game. The European Epsilon squad continues to impress this weekend, Maven. If they're able to snake out a Game 1 victory, they are easily setting themselves up for a possible series win.
Yeah, I talked about the fact that you need Mad Cat to go big. You need Reedy not to have really respawns like he did yesterday. I know it was really one he just struggled, but right now he's playing well. He's 14 and 14. I know he's only got a cap to his name, but he's keeping up in that slaying role. Mad Cat lagging a little bit behind. And Rated, really the one struggling for me right now. He's at 8 and 16, whereas we have pretty much every single player positive or crushing right now here for Elevate.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you're a fan of Epsilon EU right now, you're kind of happy with the spot you're in this game. Only down by about 12 seconds. You have Mad Cat, only 11 kills typically.
Yeah.
He's leading this team in the respawn category. Rated over double negative. Those two players can begin to chain together some kills, can win some gunfights in the hard point, and hold down certain areas of the map like they're doing right now, as you can see in your kill feed. As Mad Cat picks up a 2-piece, they will easily be able to gain the lead, just like they just did.
We'll see if they can hold this. They didn't, after that first hard point, like you said, they were getting outscored. Big time here, but Mad Cat able to pick up the assist. He's going to be rotating outside of purple right now. Is a couple seconds left here, about 10 seconds left on the clock before we're going to hit it to our second side of rotations. Now, this is where I think we might see Elevate really start to pull away. They didn't really have a good opportunity on this first circle hard point to get going on the first side. Now let's see if they can lock it down. They're set up very well to get on a roll here.
Slack losing the first gunfight inside purple. Rated answers right back. Slasher, the only player inside the hill. Little does he know he's being pushed from all different angles. There's the entry kill from Joe. Epsilon doing a great job breaking, but Elevate right there to answer back.
And Replays was on another 4 or 5 streak as he's really heating up. 21 and 16. He's leading his team and captures it as well at 5. Basically a tie game here. Only a 9-point advantage right now for Elevate. This blue hard point on the second tie is going to be everything for me.
Maven, big thing to point out right now. I don't think there's a single bow being used on the map for this hill. All ASM ones this game so far. Slasher, you typically see him with that AR in hand, still performing though at 21 and 17 with 3 caps and a 3 streak.
Yeah, I think for most hard points in this particular map, you can get away with 4 subs. I mean, do you like to have a player going off the bow? Sure, but you don't really need it at most points. I mean, maybe when you're top green, it's nice to have a bell there. You're going to have some longer gunfights, but for the most part, you can rock these 4 ASM ones. And this is where I thought we might have a bit of a swing. It's a 20-point advantage right now, but you do see we have Eskies getting blocked down from early. But yeah, they're going to break in, so we replays with the 2-piece. He's busting in. Still, he's been leading pretty much all Slayers from the get-go, still leading now, Jack.
Rated, hopping into top yellow, gets on that turret, spots one player, decides, no, it is not worth my time to try to take him out. with that dynamic map element. 30-second lead for Elevate. Rated doing all he can for Epsilon to break this hill. 3 players fall. Another break from Epsilon. They're only down by 25 seconds.
Let's see if they can get a break and pull this back here. They've still got 25 seconds to work with. Still a lot of time on the clock. You'll see Slack coming in, and the entire kill feed going to be red. Elevate roaring right now as they're starting to pull away. They got a 30-point advantage, just over 3 on the clock, Jack.
Love this play from Slack, pushing all the way into green. He's able to spot at least one player, gives his team the information they need to get the rest of that scrap time. So where Epsilon had a chance to break and bring it within a 5-second game, Elevate clutches up, picks up the kills they need. They now find themselves up by about 45 seconds.
Well, this is everything right now in blue. If Elevate can break this, if they can get set up, they're going to pull away by a massive margin. However, on the flip side, this is basically going to be a tie game if Epsilon's able to lock this down. So let's see. We've got Reedy on screen right now. They've got a couple players inside, a few pushing out as well. Reedy's going to be by himself really right now. Can he get one? He gets the assist. The second player pushing to his left. He's going to drop. This is the break that Elevate needs. Are they going to be able to pull away? Mad Cat gets dropped, and this is Elevate's hard point. Replays with another 2-piece on a break.
Beautiful push out of Elevate. They flooded 4 players through purple. Slasher pulled that bow back out. Replays had one of his own. They chained together the kills. They worked together on getting the entry. Not only did they break that hard point, but they were able to hold it for another 10 seconds, keeping their lead at just around 35 seconds.
Yeah, this is one of the more back and forth blue hard points you'll see. I mean, a lot of times you really only see 1 or 2 holds from each team. This one here been pretty back and forth.
Really scrappy.
Instead of what I thought would either be a tie or a massive lead by Elevate, honestly, it's going to be about the same score as we get to rotate here.
Maven, something to point out, Slasher is now 36 and 23. He's got off on the second rotation of the hills in this first map. 215 to 165. Elevate continuing to pull away. Mad Cat doing all he can to bring his team back into this when he's got that bow back in hand. Expect him to lock down these long sight lines.
Yeah, and Slasher, I think, got the bow out again, too. We were talking about the fact he had the ace in one of his hands for a bit. He really started to go off. And when Slasher's rolling with a bow, there are very few players that can hang with him. And we talk about Formal and Clay. Slasher's right up there as well. Not many people that can hang with him. Incredibly accurate and aggressive bow player.
These are the kills that Epsilon needs. They're able to find 2. They continue to hold down the hard point. Joe is there to take out Slasher. With a minute remaining, it is still possible. Epsilon can still mount the comeback. 20 seconds separating these 2 teams, and the rest of the scrap time going to go to Epsilon. Maven, these 2 teams are within 10 seconds of each other.
And this is going to be tough. They need to get a break in the opening 15 to 20 seconds here. It's going to get blown wide open. Maridi's going to be first, and he's going to get 2. That's massive. They've got control now. 50 seconds left on the clock. They'll be able to tie this up very quickly as long as Reedy can pick up another kill. But that's big by Replays. He gets 1. Joe trying to answer back, not able to trade it as Classic picks it up. I know Mad Cat's got a couple kills, but it's still being contested. The more time that goes by with these one-on-one gunfights inside, the more that's going to go to Elevate, and they just need a couple more seconds here before this becomes impossible.
Beautiful breaks coming out of Slasher. Rated picks up a 2-piece of his own. 13 seconds separating these 2 teams. Epsilon fully recovers, but the contest continues to come in from Elevate. They're flooding from all different angles, and with 10 seconds remaining, that's going to do it. Game number 1 going to this Elevate pickup squad. Epsilon just not able to clutch up in the final moments.
And that was, I mean, man, you had what? Classic and Replays kind of carrying the load early when we're talking. It's like, and then Slasher, I feel like out of nowhere.
He was 24 and 21. And then we look back at him 36 and 23. Just took over the game.
He ends up dropping 45
kills out of nowhere.
Slasher just crushes on the second half of this game. Excellent stuff from him. But for me, the question marks were going to kind of be Replays and Classic. I wasn't really sure how this duo would work again in Advanced Warfare. Coming into this is kind of, like you said, a pickup squad. Strong games out of both of them. Honestly, the one lagging behind is a person I didn't really expect to. Slacked has a, I mean, pretty average game for him, 21 and 33. I know he has 7 captures and 3 defends to go with it, but really just below average for him. They still take the victory, though. That's all that matters.
Maven, if I'm a fan of Epsilon EU, I'm not really that upset about that game 1 loss. Obviously, they kept it. They were very close through and through. They still have more than a chance to come back with Search and Destroy coming up next. We're going to be on Detroit. There's a look at that Epsilon lineup led by Mad Cat and overall KD. Here's a look at the scoreboard. 34 and 33 for Mad Cat. 5 captures and 3 defense. Joe doing all he could in that game. 31 and 37. But Maven, I got to give a shout out to Replays. 37 and 29. A 1.28 KD. 8 captures and 6 defense. But what separated Joe and Replays was that in that game was Replays was getting the crucial 2-piece entry kills for his team. He did it time and time again in blue. He did it in green as well. Joe just really couldn't keep up. Maybe a few kills go in their favor, and that 10-second difference we saw going into that final hill could have been completely null and void.
Well, the big thing for me is we're looking forward to S&D, though.
Yeah.
Classic typically on this map is going to be your sniper. He's usually the one watching the cross, but now when you think of Replays, I got to assume Replays is going to take over that sniping role, because typically you have Classic kind of sitting back in spawn, watching the cross there through school. You have TJ, Saints, Slacked, all playing very aggressive. Usually those three, you see them putting up double-digit kills all the time.
Slasher can too.
They're in that 8 to 12 range. No, Slasher can too as well, but what's going to happen with sniping?
That's the thing. Exactly.
It's got to be, I mean, it's got to be... Is it going to be Replays?
We'll have to see.
Are they just going to rock 3 snipes?
I would love that.
I would too. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd love it.
But round number 1 on that scoreboard, you see at the moment Elevate taking that one narrowly 229 to 211. Search and Destroy on Detroit coming up next. Brycey always saying how these European squads can catch the Americans off guard with their aggression or their different play styles in Search and Destroy.
I'm blown away that you understand what Brycey says.
I know, he really doesn't make sense. And half the time you're looking at his hair, there's typically a living animal
inside. It's like
inside
he has cotton swabs in his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad to say the least. As we hop into game number 2, it's going to be the boys on Elevate. Playing defense first, and Maven Replays already with the Moors in hand.
Can we check through to see if anyone else is? I'm just curious.
Of course.
Gonna be all about
Replays.
Okay.
Let's check the Epsilon lineup. Looks like, as of now, Rated, the only one with the Moors.
That's got to be weird for your squad, though, right? If you're used to having Classic always sniping, this has got to be a little unusual. Rated should have seen 2 on the cross. He's going to know they're getting aggressive there at back wall. And look, they're already getting pushed forward. Slasher and Replays already picking up 2. This is going to be a 4v2 with the opening seconds.
Classic trying to put some shots down on the player in Garage. Very smart to play his life, deciding not to challenge as of yet. On your minimap, though, the push coming out of Elevate. They're now beginning to get mid-map control.
Oh, Classic. That would have been a disgusting kill if he could have picked his head right off of that ramp.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, that was a real fast one. Replays, you know, he gets a snipe. I'm not sure if he picked someone mid-street or where he got eyes on the player that was crossing, but they had 2 down so fast, and Slasher the one that goes off.
45 and 31 in game number 1. Immediately continues to stay hot. Maven, he jumped right over the jump wall towards middle map, picked up the player who was trying to hop inside that Atlas cube, took him out, striking first blood, and they continue to run away with that one at the end of round number 1. It's a 1-0 lead. Epsilon is yet to get a kill on the board.
Well, let's see what Epsilon can do now that they're going to have defense. It looks like Slasher is still getting so aggressive. He's going to push into blue here. And now, will he check his right? That is the question. He's got a player close to his right, 1 inside of green. I like Slasher playing this slow. The question will be, does he challenge us? He would have a one-on-one with Reedy. So, that's a fight I would take every time.
This is a play that Denial normally makes, Slasher's actual team. They have someone push towards that back green alley. Slasher pops out of closet and kills Reedy, who would challenge from those steps right outside Hospital. This time around, they fully expect it. Mad Cat's been doing his studying up. Takes down Slasher, first blood in favor of Epsilon.
Mad Cat almost able to pick him a second, going to tag him up. That player might get chased down. Rated able to clean it up. They've got complete control of green. This is going to be such a tough job for them to try and get a plant here at B. You see, they've got bomb down. It's going to be Slacked and Replays in a 2v4, a similar situation what we saw Epsilon dealing with early. I don't know how they're going to win this. There's the wall bang. That's the way they get one. Can't pick up the player that's going to check there for mid-street. Replay is going to be left by himself with a snipe.
Epsilon should know Replays is the last player remaining with that Moors in hand. We'll see if it changes up their play style at all as he begins to push down middle street. One player from Epsilon is there waiting for him. They're able to tie it back up, Maven. I got to give props to the European Epsilon squad because they played that one so well. Not only did they get the kills, they didn't get greedy. They immediately pulled back. They were there for the trades. Outside of Rated, kind of misfiring and shooting in towards Hospital, and then Slasher picking it up. That was a pretty flawless round from Epsilon.
Yeah, I mean, this is a defensive-heavy map. It's really going to come down to who's going to throw away that defense first. So far, both teams holding their own on defense. I know it was a lot faster of a win from the boys here.
Ooh.
But for the most part, I mean, both teams doing an ample job. It was a little bit slower here for Epsilon, but able to hold their own. Again, who's going to be able to steal this offensive round? You saw Reedy, might have saw a player at back jump wall, but how did Joe even get in this position so quickly?
He just flooded right through the green alley, double jumping out of closet, picking up first blood. The bomb is planted. Because of that stun grenade, Elevate know that. 3 on 3, 40 seconds remaining. Going to be up to Elevate to get the defuse.
And now, let's see how they decide to pinch this. Replays needs to push it up opportune time. He is behind
Nicely
one.
Done.
There comes the kill with the pistol. Can they clean up the remaining players? Both.
Oh, that
playing by window in yellow. Reedy, though, going to pick up the snipe. He's got cover here with the bow as well. If somebody tries to get 4 replays, get one. Can he get the other? It's going to be a 1 versus 1. Shots coming in from Classic. He doesn't have a ton of time. He's got to push here, and he gets it. Should have plenty of time to get the defuse. Excellent job there by Classic. And that would have been a big win. We talked about getting that offensive round. Epsilon so close. Would you like to see them maybe play that 2v2 a little bit different?
Honestly, it got in an awkward situation. The player got caught inside yellow, wasn't able to run away towards that back trailer. You could see by how Classic played it, he thought he did get away, not immediately checking that corner.
If he wouldn't have checked the right, he was
winning the gunfight in that situation, getting the defused, the defensive side still perfect, 3-0 in the start of game number 2.
And we saw Replay start very strong in game 1. He's carrying that over here. You know, we talked about the fact that he's been one of the best snipers in AW, and they're going to be pushing forward, taking complete control of mid-street early here.
Reedy sitting inside mid-hospital, hasn't spotted a player as of yet. First blood, though, going over to Mad Cat. That's his second in the game. Shots coming down from this middle map area. Mad Cat answers right back. Another kill coming out of Joe. Slack left in the 1-on-4. He had a shaky game 1, missing some shots there, and maybe they're flooding him from all different angles.
Yeah, he's dead.
That's it.
But I guess for the most part, I mean, I think I would say Epsilon's looking stronger thus far. I mean, they at least had a decent-looking offensive round. I mean, that came down to, what, 5 seconds? And Classic wasn't able to get that. We haven't seen anything at this Elevate team on offense. They're getting absolutely shut down.
Maven, game number 1 was extremely close. This Epsilon squad tied up now in game 2. They are no joke. A lot of people wondering, you know, was that win against Rise yesterday a fluke? Did they really wind up deserving that one, or was it just kind of Rise playing a little lackluster? The looks of it here on day number 2, Epsilon are the real deal. I'm on board with Mad Cat. Kind of the guy who keeps this team together. He is the player who you expect to put up massive numbers.
And this is the best opportunity for an offensive win as you have Reedy with the opening pick. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen at home, this is not round robin group play. This is more your GSL formats, your mini double elim inside these brackets. Win 2, you're in, lose 2, you're out. Winner of this will be taking the group.
Joe staying alive inside school window. He's got that ASM1, loses the gunfight first replays. Mad Cat there to trade the kill. It's now a 1-on-2. Slack last alive yet again.
And this is your opportunity if you're Epsilon. Steal this offensive win. You'll be looking very good here as you haven't seen anything on offense. Tries to jump in the window. He's going to get dropped. Now, this becomes scary now for Elevate. You haven't had anything resembling a decent offensive effort.
No.
You're down 3-2. You lose the defense. Good chance your Epsilon's going to take this. I mean, what would you want to see out of Elevate? What should they do differently here to maybe try and take an offensive round?
I would like to see them play a little bit more aggressively towards that back green bomb site. Flood right through green. It's something Denial is very good at.
This team isn't built really for aggressiveness in S&D. Replays plays slow with the sniper typically. Classic plays slow with the sniper typically.
But it's the example of something, as you mentioned, you'd like to see. Looks like they're going to go for something along those lines. Slasher going to be in charge of holding down middle map. He's got that sub in hand. He should flood right through closet. Maybe they're doing just that. They're going for the green push. The call coming in from Replays, but Rated is there. He picks up 2. Replays the final player remaining in the 1-on-2.
And I mean,
so they did it, but they just got cut off by Epsilon. Better reaction.
And he's the guy you'd like to have in this situation. Is he's got 2 kills right now. He's 7-4. I mean, you still have 2 players that have Uno. Yeah, Classic and Slack right now combining for 2 and 9. Not going to get done. Everyone on Epsilon right now is getting in on the action.
I can almost guarantee you, prior to that round starting, you had a play call from Replays and Slasher saying, hey, we see success with this from Denial. Right now, nothing is working. Unfortunately, though, without Hook and Temp, their typical 2 other teammates, the play call there just kind of falling apart. Still, Replays in a position to try to clutch it up. He gets cut down. Another round going to Epsilon. They're now up 4-2.
Yeah, and that's what's scary. You know, we talked about the fact the first team to take an offensive round is going to set up very nicely here. And they're able to take it. It's just, like I said before, I mean, it's a really well-rounded effort right now in the slaying department from Epsilon. It's a one-sided affair coming out of Elevate. It's really all Replays right now.
Yeah, Classic and Slack, a combined 2 and 9 at the moment. They're going to need to pick things up. I want to hop on board with this Elevate lineup off the start. Replay still with that Moors in hand. Did he spot the first player pushing through that mid-ambulance area? It didn't appear so already. The bomb is inside fire. Joe, his trophy system is now out. Elevate, though, set up to stop this bomb plant.
Let's see if Joe and crew can get forward. They're backing them up with their grenades here, trying to push back that player. They get Slack, but it's going to come in from Slasher here. Nice nade, able to take out Joe. That was your bomb carrier as well, so bomb is down. I don't believe they're going to be aware of that. Rated able to answer back here, but it's going to be a 3v2 advantage. Can they lock it down? They've got to at least take this offensive round.
Beautifully done by Classic. Not trying to challenge that player in fire anymore. Mad Cat still in a position to grab this bomb and potentially get a plant down. In mid-hospital, Rated is right outside of the vision of one player. Spots replays, deciding to back it up. Still, so many players so close to each other. Classic getting shots down on him. He wins a gunfight versus Mad Cat. Rated in the 1-on-3. He gets taken down. Elevate begins to climb back.
And I don't even know how Classic won that gunfight in school because he got tagged up pretty well. It looked like they're from mid-street, but Mad Cat, you know, last we checked with him, he was kind of looking prone, watching across in school. I'm guessing he was completely unaware because that's a gunfight. You think Mad Cat's going to win when Classic is tagged up.
Classic tagged up. Classic is called out. They know exactly where he is. All signs leading to Mad Cat winning that one. Could have been a completely different round if Classic didn't clutch up there. And as we mentioned, Classic prior to that round struggling to say the least, picking up 2 kills, getting the momentum a little bit in his favor. Replays though with the Moors in hand. Calls out one player to his teammate crossing into school.
You know, I talked about before this how well Slacked has been playing, at least on land. Just thinking back to X Games, how much of a monster he's been. He struggled in game 1.
That's a little awkward.
He's 1-6 in game 2. I mean, Slacked has not been looking strong thus far in this series.
Yeah.
You know, it's just jet lag. Jet lag.
You could blame it on that. I'm sure.
It's jet lag, Jack.
I'm sure the European fans will, of course, hate that we're not giving the European squad any credit as they continue to impress. Classic getting tagged up. Slacked hits the nade kill. Another pistol kill coming out of replays. The 1-on-4. Rated is last alive. And there he goes. Elevate, climbing back into it, all tied up 4-4.
And, you know, how great is that? We talk about the fact they've been struggling so much on offense. They're able to take that one in an absolute hurry there. And it's replays. Again, he's 10-5 with a 3 streak. He's been doing it all this series.
Well, 10-5 out of replays, impressing there in game number 1. Off the start of this round number 9, do we see any Moors being brought out from Epsilon? Doesn't appear so. Oh, they're going right for an A push.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a quick A push. You have one player going inside of B. Actually, they're going to push 2 there. Reedy's going to be the one watching the flank. There's no one inside of green really to lock down the defensive side of this. They played it a little bit differently than you'd expect. Replay is going to get caught in a second here. No, he's actually going to end up getting one. That should be 2 for replays. You got to win that one. Mad Cat destroys him. 4-4 tie. They have a 3 versus 2 advantage for Epsilon. Why wasn't you usually always have a player inside of green pretty much on the defensive side? They didn't play it that way. Replays almost comes up massive, but with 45 seconds left on the clock,
just melted him.
They've got a 2 versus 2 here, Jack.
2-on-2. One player still inside of green, the other one sitting inside fire. Mad Cat always in this area. First team the flank though. Coming out of Joe, he's able to pick up 1. Now the 1-on-2. Classic's last alive.
And Classic knows there's a player in front. Able to win that. It's going to be a 1 versus 1. Now the bomb carrier, how's he going to play this? Is he going to wrap to A as quickly as possible? Or is he just going to play here slow, flirt with B? He doesn't have a lot of time. This is in Classic's favor. If he checks the bomb at the right timing, will he catch him? Oh, God. Mad Cat's trying to play for the kill here. And this might work out perfectly for him, depending on when he tries to plant. And now he's caught. No,
Classic
he's not.
put some shots down. Mad Cat might be able to do it. Oh, my goodness.
Lord, baby
I
Jesus.
think we both almost just had heart attacks there. Classic able to pick up the kill on Mad Cat, but that was much closer than it should have been.
Well, and this is like the second time in 2 days I've got my panties in a twist and started screaming. But honestly, in that situation, it takes so long to get the bomb out of your hands. I don't even think Mad Cat got a bullet out of his gun. It just looks scary because Classic kind of panicked, missed some shots, but really not at that much risk there just because Mad Cat, it takes a good 3 seconds to really let that bomb go, get shots out.
3 straight rounds now for Elevate, mainly being carried by the impressive performance from Classic and Slack. They've now begin to heat up. They've chained together some kills. Mad Cat wins the gunfight versus Classic.
Classic got first shot. It was a headshot.
In half. 4v3 number advantage back in favor of Epsilon. Maybe this is going to a round 11. This is going to a round 11.
It certainly feels like it right now. I thought they were going to lock it up. As you saw, I thought Classic had that gunfight for sure. I don't know if he took his finger off the trigger or if he just got absolutely crushed there by Mad Cat. But regardless, excellent stuff here. Looks like they're kind of trying to play for a pick. They've got control here, sort of mid-street. They got control of the center Atlas. Slasher is going to be the one kind of peeking and hunting right now. They're going to rely on him, I think, to try and get a kill. The player by himself at A. Oh, God. If he gets pushed at all, if that player inside of green tries to peek whatsoever. Oh, replays, you really got to challenge this. You're a maniac. Now run! He's going to get wall bang there. I think my radio, actually, the guy mid-stream was able to pick it up. All of a sudden, it's going to be slacked in a 1v4. He's going to get dropped. Here we go. Round 11. This is not Riot S&D. The kills matter so much more. You want to have the defensive side of this, and it looks like, all right, what do we have? 15, 12. So we've got 27 on the side of Epsilon. And it should be Epsilon defense.
That's what it's going to look like as we head into round 11. This game has been so back and forth. At one moment, it looked like Epsilon was going to fully pull away with it. Now with that favorable side, Maven, who do you want to hop on board with?
Let's kick it off. Let's leave it with Slack. You know, he's been struggling throughout this one. Let's see if he can get going early. But they've only had one offensive round win, and that one was a real quick one. Other than that, they haven't looked strong at all.
Slack leading his team in towards Garage. You can see the setup right now from Epsilon. 2 players watching over middle map. 1 on the A-bomb site, 1 on B. They're now beginning to rotate. No, they know the push is coming from Elevate in towards Fire. Joe is on the bomb site. He's going to be the first player in a gunfight.
And they've got, oh my God, look at the stack they have on B right now. If they try to break into this, all hell's going to break loose. They've got to get some nades in. If they can get some, I almost said cheeky nades in, they might be able to push it back. He checks the corner, they get boom!
Beautifully played.
What a gunfight when you get there, and they're going to win that as well as Slack comes up absolutely huge in the round 11. He hasn't had a good series thus far, but those 2 kills have basically sealed the victory.
Rated giving away his position, missing all those shots, not able to connect with a single kill. Now challenging the gunfight, School Stairs, wins 1, now just the 1-on-2. Slasher is planting the bomb, watching over middle map is Replays. He knows that one player ran towards lockers, spots Replays, he's going to chase him down, putting some shots in, hasn't picked the kill up as of yet. Replays with that PDW in hand, they're chasing each other around. That's gonna do it. Elevate with the clutch entry kills into School, and going to end that one. Round 11 going to Elevate.
You're 3-8. Slack is 3-8 going into this one. He hasn't looked strong at all really entire series. But how they have a 3 stack on B, you're very rarely going to win that. I mean, trying to break into that is so tough. The nade weakens Mad Cat, I think, that first one that goes in, but that's about it. But Slack just goes huge, man.
One player was able to sneak into School window, and once that happened, the entire push just came in from Epsilon, or from Elevate. They got the player weak on Mad Cat, and that was really it. The push coming out of Slack. They each pick up a kill of their own, and then you saw one final player from Epsilon was inside of School, picked up 1 kill. He was left in a tough spot where if he was able to take down Slack, they might have had a chance of winning in that 2-on-2. Unfortunately, though, he was already weak, lost the gunfight for Slack. It all fell apart there. Round 11 going to Elevate. Epsilon again losing in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, and that's game 1 to game 2, similar in this fashion for me. Replays led early.
Yeah.
For Lad and his teammates to close out late. I mean, he had the hot start there in the hard point. He had a hot start in this. I think he was at one point, what, like 10-4, 10-5? Yeah. Really doing an excellent. I think when he was 10-5, it was, what, 1-5 for Classic and 1-4 for Slack or something like that? They were combining for 2-9. When he was absolutely just going off. So relying on his teammates to go big, they end up carrying the load late. Slacked, incredible 2-piece there, breaking into B. They're able to take game number 2 in round 11. 2-0 lead for Elevate. They're looking strong this far. I know they're a quote-unquote pickup team, but you've got a lot of chemistry here. These guys have played together a lot in the past.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yes, they are a pickup team, but as you said, these guys have a ton of experience playing together, more than
Can I have my sunglasses back, please?
Yeah, okay. You want to bring up your cool factor a little bit?
Too bright in here.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, game 3 is going to be comeback uplink.
I just winked at the camera
with sunglasses on. That was a fail. Maven, you continue to let me down so far this weekend. You ate a piece of chicken. Can we talk about that for a second? You ate a piece of chicken off the floor of Nando's in the mall. How do you defend yourself?
I got a double chicken with 2 sides.
Oh, no.
Extra hot sauce. It was tasty. I was enjoying it. I was starting to sweat a little bit. Incredibly spicy. Just the flavors taking over my mouth, body, and soul. And one little piece of chicken about wee big.
It was your last piece, too. It was your last piece. That's why I saw how upset you were.
I looked Jack directly in the eyes.
While staring at me the whole time.
I bend over, I pick it up, put it right in my map. Map.
Right
in my map. Let's take a look at the maps.
That's what you were trying to say.
We're going to hop into game number 3, see if Elevate's able to close this out with a sweep. It is going to be comeback uplink coming up next. Who's your favorite for this one?
I mean, I got a favor. This Elevate lineup, Slasher and Replays, absolutely dominate on this map. And if Slacked and Classic can continue the momentum that they built in game number 2, they should be able to close out the series 3-0. But I know yesterday, this Epsilon lineup showed up in their uplink versus Rise. They weren't able to take that one, but fully expect them to put on a decent performance here in game number 3.
All right, we got 10 seconds left in the countdown. Ready to rock. Uplink comeback. Typically, the American teams, this has been our game type. This has been the one we control, usually going up against the beast of EU. Not really the case yesterday, but let's see how this one's going to kick off. Looking at it here off the break, it looks like Elevate's going to be on the weaker side here to start. If you're Epsilon, you got to be looking to get a strong start, get control early, but that is not the case right now, as we should at least have a 1-point advantage here. Slasher able to toss one through in the opening 15 seconds.
Just like that, Slasher grabs it, does not hesitate, runs it right through that yellow window, and puts in the 1-point play. Elevate now up 1-0. They've got control of glass. Everything going right for the Red Rebellion.
Now, Jack, you hear us casters.
Yeah.
Glass, 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 glass. We talk about control, how important this building is. For those maybe new to this game type, talk to me about why it's so important.
It's extremely important, one, because not only you get drone control, you know exactly, you can watch it, you can see exactly who's pushing on it. 2, you have those long sight lines. If you can have a bow player set up, he can clear it out so your subs can get control of blue or, well, yellow as well.
There's a good example of how tough it is. Like, how do you win that gunfight?
Mad Cat can't clear the lanes for his sub to grab that drone and try to get in a 1-point play. He's now just trying to fight for control, but there's replays taking him down. Denial just doing a better job at the moment of, or Elevate doing a better job at the moment of flooding it and keeping control with their team.
Well, Reedy, during that, Reedy was able to put through the dunk to take the 1-point advantage. We talked about the fact that Replays has been carrying the load early. He's on a 3 streak, or he was on a 3 streak before he dropped it 5-3. Slack now on a 3 streak, starting to pick things up as well. Those are going to be the 2 to watch for me, because we've had a very consistent effort at a replay. Slack's been a little all over the place right now.
They went for the 1-point toss, surprise to say the least. Able to tie up the game now 2-2. Epsilon earlier was able to just kind of sneak in a dunk after they got a few players down from Elevate. Slasher back in that power position, Maven. Here is that spot where he will sit here all game long, wait for the call from his teammates to run the drone right up. He's going to get it forward. Classic should be his lead blocker. Slasher more than, but picked off actually by the player of Epsilon. Very nicely done.
That was more of a handoff than a pickoff.
That was an awkward timing there. He had no idea that the player would push out of yellow, and just like that, Epsilon on the offense.
And Joe leading the way here for Epsilon. He's 10-6, really rolling for his squad right now. You can see they're battling there at blue, trying to get control, but Drone still down in that position. And they haven't reset it yet. There's 1 second left. It's going to reset momentarily. Oh my God, they were just about to pick that up, and that would have been a very precarious position there for Elevate, as it would have allowed for an easy push, but regardless, they're picking up kills. Reedy going off right now at top blue. This should lead to at least a 1-point play. Mad Cat got to get this player, though, inside of the base. He gets his teammates. He tries to push forward, and then he's taken out from behind. This is a reset coming in for Elevate, and that's a missed opportunity for me if you're Epsilon.
Reedy legitimately just played that one flawlessly, Maven. He cleared out the entire area of blue for his team. 1 player was able to sneak by, and that was really it, as Mad Cat killed the final teammate he had for defense. Now, though, Epsilon back on the offensive lineup, gonna be able to get the dunk in. 4-2 lead, a 1-possession game.
All right, let's see if Epsilon can continue to pull away here. Minute 45 on this first side. Drone basically at spawn. It is going to fall here to Rated. They've got control of glass. They've got the setup. It looks like they're just going to reset it right now. Vie for control. I'm not really sure why they decided to go with the reset.
Great play from Replays.
And he's able to get in 1. Will get cleaned up by Rated pretty much immediately. They're still battling, trying to get control here. Reset of the drone is now. They're going to be able to try and push forward. And that, I mean, they kept control. I don't really know why they decided to go for the reset. Do they have the 1-point generator throw? No, he wants to go in for Dunk City. He's got a player in front of him wisely. I thought he was getting distracted there. Maybe go for the melee. Just get the points, but.
No, beautifully done by Epsilon. They get 3 players down. They immediately flood the drone in, and Mad Cat is still here. Top glass. Look at how much time this is buying for his team. Not only did he get, Mad Cat just got to see the good spawn right outside of back glass, but now they're in a position where if, hey, they get a couple kills, they can immediately go for another score.
They've still got control despite the fact that you saw Elevate light up the kill feed. Unfortunately, none of those players being the players they had to deal with in glass. Only the one that was pushing outside a window. Reedy set up in here with the ASM-1. He's looking right over this drone for any players that push bottom middle. They're all going to be coming from the side of Generator. They're going to have some aggressive play here. The hip fire, Reedy able to pick up 1 before he's going to fall. Now inside of glass, we should have Classic set up, and he's going to fall. Replay is really the only person in around the drone. They've got under 30 seconds to work with. Let's see if they can get any points on the board here before half.
Epsilon trying to regain control of glass. Joe picks up the drone. He gets cut down by Classic. Rated just staying alive. Mad Cat picks up another 2 kills. Epsilon has played this side so patient, Maven. Not trying to force any one-point plays. They just go when they have full peace of mind. Now Mad Cat with the drone in hand. 5 seconds remaining. Trying to juke out the players of Elevate. He's able to dunk it in. 3 possessions separating these 2 teams. Honestly, Maven, Epsilon just outperforming there on side number 1.
That's what you need on side 1. When you're on strong side, perfect job. Epsilon has a 6-point lead, but this is why you're nervous if you're Epsilon. Slasher goes 7 and 15. You're on a side that's much harder to rock that belt. Reason being, you saw Mad Cat, what he was doing inside of glass.
Oh, killing everything.
You have much better vision there of top blue. You're able to really pick up kills for your team. I guarantee Slasher goes off this half. He will not be anything close to double negative when this game is over. Let's see what Elevate can do to try and mount the comeback. I just really see Slasher warming up on this second side.
If you're just tuning in, Elevate is up 2-0, but games 1 and 2 were just so close all the way to the end. The final hard point of game 1 was really where the difference was made. Elevate was able to pull away. Round 11, Elevate clutched up with those entry kills inside school. Game number 3, though, been pretty dominant so far from Epsilon. They're up by 6 points. The toss coming in. They should be able to get this dunk. They're going to strike first on side 2.
And that is absolutely what you needed for Epsilon. I mean, on this side, you really want to try and get control of the base, have somebody by drone, and be able to just rally. That's your best way to get points here. But they might actually get countered. There's only 1 player on defense here. There comes the 1-point toss. And now, all of a sudden, control very quickly switching over to Elevate.
I like that play out of Elevate. They know we don't need to force dunks in right away. Let's get the 1 points we can guarantee. Let's start to begin to chip away at this lead of
points
Epsilon.
Are points right now. You got a ton of time
and there's
on the
still more than exactly, Maven. More than enough time to make the comeback. They have control of glass. Reedy trying to get this flank going. Picks up the beatdown on Slasher. At the moment, he's leading his team in score. 6 uplinks to his name.
And Reedy going to be pushing bottom middle. Drone still at spawn right now. You can see glass control set up pretty nicely here for the side of Elevate. You still want to see Slasher get going right now as he is still struggling at 10 and 19 and just gives up what I thought was potentially a 1-point toss. He's going to lose that gunfight. Are they able to get the reset? There's nobody in back. Are they just playing time here, trying to push forward? There. Now they're finally going to get control of it. And they only had 1 second before the reset. I'm surprised they didn't just let that second tick off the clock. Instead, they're going to throw it towards the green wall here. Are they going to try and push this? You know how dangerous this can be, Jack.
Slasher now with the drone in hand. He's going to continue to run it towards green side. This should be a nice dunk out of Elevate.
That
now down
out.
by only 5. They've now chained together 3 points. They're starting to mount the comeback. They still have control of glass, getting the kills they need.
Oh, this
should be
dunk.
another guaranteed dunk, rallying it right in. But now they need to have 1 player rotate back. Who's that outside glass? This is Classic, losing a massive gunfight. Mad Cat just locked down that area for his team.
Yeah, he's got replays here, though. He knows there's 1 player behind his teammate. He's able to call that out, and Slack just did something disgusting to Joe. Poor Joe. Erased off the map.
They're all on streaks right now. 1 from Classic, 2 from Slack, 6 from League Plays, 3 from Slasher. They've now brought it back to a 1-point game. Epsilon beginning to fall apart.
And this is what I was talking about. This is why you're still nervous if you're Epsilon. This side, you can rally so easily. If you get control, if you pick up big kills, this is going to go from a 10-3 game to a tie in, what, 60 seconds?
In legitimately only 60 seconds, a beautiful rally from Elevate, led by Slack and crew. Slasher beginning to mount the comeback in regards to his personal score. 10-10, 2 minutes remaining. Maven, from what we've seen so far in this series, would you expect anything different but a close game?
No, not at all. I mean, this is wild. This series has been incredible thus far. There's 2 minutes on the clock. They're all tied up. They've got it outside of blue. They've just got to win a couple gunfights, and this should be another dunk. Can they win this forward battle? There's 1 player left. He's going to end up tossing that out. Going to get 1 in. They have the advantage. The first lead, really, for Elevate since what, the opening?
I think the first point,
second,
right? Yeah. Now, though, Classic doing all he can in bottom dirt to stay alive. Reedy picks up the beatdown on Slack. He's going to toss the drone off the map. The reset comes in with 90 seconds remaining. Side number 2 has been a scramble for Epsilon to just hold down their own base. They haven't even been able to think about glass at all, Maven, and it shows in the score. Almost 10 straight points now for the boys on Elevate, and they continue to fight around middle map.
A couple up for either side right now. They're trying to get forward. Reedy should have the tying toss here, but he can't get it out. Big defensive kill. They're coming in from Classic. Now, do they wrap or do they toss it out?
They're going to try to wrap this one towards green. They've got the entry kills they need, but no one is here for Classic. Tries to go for the 1-point play.
He got it. I didn't even think he got that out of his hand.
Did he throw that?
What? Maybe he got killed and his foot kicked it.
I can't
We're
even
in the
explain
UK,
what
he's a
just happened.
soccer player.
Hey, there you go. Football, as they say around these
I don't want
parts.
to hear it, Jack.
He missed the 1-point play. 10-12 right now. Epsilon with the drone in hand. Elevate doing all they can to close out the series 3-0.
Drone at spawn. 35 seconds on the clock. It's a one-possession game. All they need is the dunk. That's a big win in blue there for Joe. Rated picks up one as well. Drone in hand. He might have a free dunk here. If he goes through window, he's got a free dunk.
What is the player doing?
I don't know. I think the entire team of Elevate all of a sudden became intoxicated, but now they rotate back. Joe had a free dunk. All he had to do was push through. He just didn't expect it to be an open lane like that. But here it comes. Can he get it? There's the dunk in the tie.
All tied
15
up.
seconds left.
Look at your map right now. Rated in a perfect position to grab this drone and go for the dunk. They just need the kills inside yellow. He begins to run it through. Classic gets the beat down. 3 players of Elevate cut him down with the drone in hand. They're going to go for the reset. Maven, we're going into overtime.
Woo! Not surprised at all that this one's going to overtime.
That was the one time Epsilon got control of yellow and they were able to capitalize on it.
It's funny to watch from our POV because obviously, you know, we have the mini-map, we have the COD vision. Joe could have ran that at any point. There was nobody that rotated back. I mean, they all realized what was going on at the same time.
Slack started to overextend through to blue, and that's when you and I both picked up on it. We said, where's this player going? Fortunately for him, he had enough time to rotate back. 12-12 was the regulation time. Now, though, in OT, Elevate with the drone in hand.
And it looks like
this is a setup play. They have one player in a position to go for the dunk.
What
I love
a play.
to see this.
No, that's a crap bounce, though. Can he get to it? He should have
The drone
time.
bounces off.
He
There's
takes
the
the
1-point play. Okay, so they knew exactly how that was going.
Yeah.
Elevate, a pickup team, you would think, no setup plays. We see that from, what, TK, typically?
They got Phil Jackson as coach. They're drawing it up on the whiteboard, Jack.
Slack was on top of that light post. He went for the 1-point pass. Beautiful stuff. Replays was there to receive it. Now with 12 seconds left, Epsilon need to kind of go all out. The nades are flooding in. Perfect play calls through and through. Elevate are going to do it. They're going to close out the overtime and win the series 3-0.
That's like, you know, you're almost on this is overtime of a basketball game. You got the coach, he comes in, he draws up an inbounds play. That was disgusting. Incredible. And that's exactly what you said. You were expecting to have a pickup team.
Yeah, that's why typically you see that in squats. You see a player sit that top right post, grab the drone, and go for the toss into yellow. It got a bad bounce, but what they basically had was Classic ran, picked up the drone. He immediately darted back, looked up, tossed it with the pass feature. Slack, who was up there, grabbed it, double jumped off, threw it over yellow. Replays had no one even expecting him to be there. Tossed it in with ease for the 1-point play.
Was awesome,
beautiful
man.
stuff. They knew, and Replays could have gone for that dunk. He didn't risk it.
At that point, you're just playing for time. Yeah, that's not a point thing. That's just time.
He could have gone for the dunk, decided we're going to go for the 1-point play, and then all we need to do is they had 8 players. Every single player ran frag grenades. They just naded out that spawn. Epsilon couldn't even get close. There's your stats from game number 3. Mad Cat, once again, leading his team. 1.28 KD ratio, 32 and 25 with 4 uplinks. But it wasn't enough. Maven, someone to point out, too, Slasher inside 2 completely began to turn around.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was, I think he was 10 and 17, 10 and 18, something like that. I said he'd come alive. It's much easier to be the bow player on that side. That's just a fact. You play much stronger. But the thing for me, really, when you're taking a look at Elevate's scoring, I think it was pretty, when you look at Epsilon, a lot more kind of in layers. They were able to get 2 here, 1 here, 2 there. It was, 8 points in 60 seconds or so that just ripped through for Elevate. They got control. They got dominant. They got control of blue, and it was just bam, 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 bam. Before you take a couple breaths, all of a sudden Epsilon's like, dear God, we are not in the lead.
And you know what Epsilon was failing to do was get a player through middle map to get that flank on the drone spawn.
Yeah.
Elevate was watching that as well. So if they wanted to spawn up and kind of get the flank to slow down this aggression, they had to go all the way around green, in through yellow, and then flank behind. Took them so long. Finally, when they had someone in that position, they had already scored 6 straight points. Elevate clutching up in the final moments, able to take that one. A beautiful setup play in overtime.
All right, well, enough from Jack-O-Lantern and I. We're going to toss it over to analysis. Chris Puckett, take it away.
All right, thank you, Maven, here with Gunshi and Shane. Let's start it off with that Game 3, the closure there in overtime. Gunshi, you said that was brilliant while we watched it live. How did this Elevate squad finish that game?
Well, first of all, it was so, Epsilon cannot prepare for plays like that. It's impossible to prepare for it. But basically, Elevate sent one guy on the flank to green to wait in their base to pick up the ball and score. But basically, someone just picked up the ball and someone sat on top of a lamppost. He threw it up to the guy on the lamppost, and the guy just jumped and threw it to the base. It was like a play that could be made in about 20 seconds, and it worked out perfectly. To be honest, I've never seen anything like that done before. So it's so intelligent and good to watch. I was amazed at watching it.
It was absolutely incredible, and we have the replay here for you guys. Watch it again on the mini-map. Replays is spread out far right. He goes over to green. Slacked is going to be the one who catches the pass, and then he just chucks it over. Now, I thought Replay should have gone for the dunk here. Instead, this guy's a veteran. Safe move, hides behind the building where he can't get shot, and goes for the single pass. He knows unless Epsilon has a plan just like that, there's no way of beating their time. Such smart play being shown here by the veteran, Shane.
To put it bluntly, that was some Jose Mourinho type shit. They've been practicing that one for a long time, but it started off on the uplink. Uplink comeback is a complete AR battle, Mad Cat versus Slasher, and when your AR's having a bad game, it's really bad for the SMGs. Like, when this guy has a bad game on a comeback uplink, I'd have about 57 million deaths. But
57 million.
Yeah, that's what I do quite a lot. Mad Cat was doing really well the first half. I think it took like an 8-2 lead, maybe an 8-3 lead. But then Slasher started stepping up on the better side, where and then they pulled it back. But like the same thing happened on the first map. Pretty much, Epsilon, they had the lead. They started losing. They started panicking. They wasn't working together as a team. They were just running around separately, to be honest, and there was no one to trade kills with each other.
Overall, Gunshi, let's take it all the way back, just looking at the series as a whole. It was a quick 3-0. But at times it looked like Epsilon was almost throwing the game or behind. I was impressed in game one. They were getting outslayed, but still within about 8 points in that hard point going into halftime. What was going wrong today compared to what you saw from Epsilon yesterday, though?
It's 3-0 does not reflect how close that game was. It was so close. Either game could have gone either way. But Epsilon, they did not look at how they were yesterday. As soon as they lost that first map, I was kind of worried for them, and they needed to take that S&D, but straight away at 5-5, they got 2 dead, and they were pretty screwed from there on in. But no, I don't think they should get their heads down too much about it, because Elevate are a really good squad. I think they're predicted top 4 for this event, so I wouldn't be too disappointed. They just need to win their next game and hit the bracket. Hope they get a good bracket for tomorrow.
It's crazy. You look at those numbers there. Slasher 40-29, 34-29 from Classic. Epsilon totally getting outslayed, but look how close that score is. And I think that is maybe the weakness that you need to look out for from this Elevate squad is, are they able to maintain control of the objective? Because you can definitely tell all 4 players are focused on slaying throughout this series. But Shane, take me to the search and destroy. Let's talk game 2. What went wrong there on Detroit?
Well, the turning point was, it started off Epsilon, they went into the advantage by winning an attacking round. Elevate were looking quite strong on defense, and as soon as they went that round, I think it was go 3-2 up. It's like winning your serve on tennis. If you don't win that, it makes it a lot harder for you. But then they put it back to 5-5, and Epsilon completely bottled it here. They had a 4-man stack on B, or 3-man stack, sorry, and they didn't really have any defensive perks or defensive perks. I think it was Joe who sat in the corner by the bomb. It's the most obvious corner to sit in the game. If you're going to sit there, you need a flak jacket, trophy system, something like that, because no matter what, they're going to need that. So for them all to all be defending that bomb, they had the drop on Elevate. They pretty much knew they were coming, and I think they made 1 kill, and 3 of them died. I
thought Rated was going to be a hero. I'm not going to lie. After watching his battle on that first kill, I was like, all right, he's on point. Then he had this player singled out. There was no help anywhere nearby for Elevate in case stuff went down negatively, but instead, Elevate was able to finish strong. I have to say, though, out of the game modes, Elevate doesn't look as strong as I thought they would be. I said they would be my dark horse to come in and potentially win the whole thing. I think they've shown a lot of individual skill, a lot of individual potential, but they still got to work out some of the teamwork things. Gunshi, how far can Elevate go in this tournament? They're the first ones to lock in at least $2,500 in a top 8 finish.
Yeah, I still think they can go really far. I mean, on paper, the team, in my opinion, they've only got one standout player, and that's Slasher. I think he's definitely a top 5 player on this game. He's, like, time and time again, he's proven people wrong, and he's just insane on the game. But the other three players are just really good. I know that they're really good friends, and they have good chemistry together, so it's a good squad, pickup squad to have. It depends on the bracket they get. If they get like another top 3 US team, then I think they could struggle with the fact that they're a pickup team. But I'd like to see them come top 4, and I'm not surprised people chose them as a dark horse, to be honest.
Top 4, Shane. How far do you see Elevate going?
They got potential to get top 2, top 3 if the COD gods are on them and FaZe and Optic play each other earlier, because I can't see them to Elevate beating one of those 2 teams, but they're most certainly capable. They've played with replays before, and I think he picked up for Slacked in a previous event, and they were saying how good they are to play with replays.
Right.
He's a world champion. I say him and Clayster, pretty much both captains. So something to do that, and also he's a great S&D player. He got about 12 kills, I think, in the first one.
Replays is nasty, especially with that sniper rifle, and he was getting it done with the pistol as well. Guys, I was being way too hypercritical of this Elevate squad. So far, they are 6-0. They have not dropped a map here at Gfinity 100K, and right now, down on the floor, we got Mike Kent with Mr. Replays.
Thanks, Chris. Yep, here are Replays. Here's a pickup team. How did you expect this game to go today?
I mean, even though that we're a pickup team, I was really confident in my team. I mean, I have 3 great players aside of me. Just because we're a pickup team doesn't mean that we can't play our game.
Do you feel like there's less pressure when you're in a pickup team because, you know, there's not as much pressure performed by the organization?
I mean, yeah, I guess there's less pressure because you don't really know what to expect. I mean, we can come here and do really bad and get last place. We can come here and get first place. I mean, it's kind of more of like an event for fun. I mean, we're still going hard. We're still going 100%. But like I said, there's not as much pressure to perform, I guess.
What position did you and the guys say before you got here that you wanted to achieve?
We were definitely aiming for top 4 this event.
Do you think that's achievable looking at the way the teams are stacked up at the moment?
Well, I mean, we just won our pool, so I think if we come out hot on Sunday and we play our game, I think it's very achievable. I mean, all the teams look like they're playing really well as well, but I think if we play our game, it'll be fun.
How much practice did you get together as a 4 with obviously the commitments of like the Pro League as well?
As a 4, literally none. This is our first like game really together was in the booth.
Have you said anything before the game? Obviously, you're all highly individual skilled players, but has there been any words to try and make more teamwork?
Yeah, I mean, before the game, we really decided, like, what are you running? Are you running the BAL? Are you running the sub? What do you do in Search and Destroy? What bomb site do you go to? All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, before every map, we talked it over, like, what our kind of game plan is, and then we just stuck to it.
Apart from the obvious of sort of Optic and FaZe, is there anyone else you really don't want to pitch up against in the bracket?
I mean, no, not really. I'm not scared of anybody. You come here to win no matter who you play. You have to beat every team in order to win, so, no.
That's great. Well, we're going to go back to the studio with Chris, and they're going to talk a little bit more about what happened in that game, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the rest of the tournament.
We're going to talk about everything, Mike, starting with a quick recap here. Epsilon, they fall to the lower bracket, but keep in mind, guys, you got to lose twice to get knocked out of the tournament. Do you see Epsilon able to take out the winner of Rise Nation and I'm blanking. There we go. IGI.
I think Rise just took down IGI, so they're going to be confident. But the problem is playing a team fresh off a win when you've just lost a close game like that. Like Call of Duty is a game where strafing to the left and strafing to the right is a difference between $100,000 and winning nothing. So I don't know. I'd tip Rise to win this one purely based off confidence at the moment.
Going Rise in the rematch. What about you, Gunch?
Yeah, without a doubt, I think Rise have got the momentum now, and that's going to be a massive factor, and especially with Epsilon, with the personalities that they have in that team. They have the potential to crumble after losing one game, especially 3-0, and they'll be kicking themselves because they know that they could have took that 3-0 as well because every game was really close, so they're going to be really disappointed. They're going to have to pick their heads up, and the Coach Dinge is going to have to get in full swing for this next game.
Dinge!
Yeah, he's the hype man.
You guys were saying it yesterday. He is the most positive personality in Call of Duty scene here in the UK. What is it that Dinge is really? I guess who does Dinge need to talk to?
I think Dinge is. He's a bit older. He looks about 16, but he's about 28. I think he's about the same age as you, Chris.
Grandpa. All right.
But he's just such a happy person in general. Having him coach me before, he just generally just play a lot better, and he's screaming in my ear in his crazy accent. But they're all good friends of him, and they'll all be willing to listen to him. He'll get their heads in the game, and I think he has a big impact on this next game.
All right, you dodged my question, but I'll accept it. Gunch, is there any one player on that team that you're worried about the mental stability of after that 3-0 loss?
Obviously, the easy one to say is Madcat because he's an outstanding player. He's got by far the best gun skill on that team. It's just whether he can keep his head high. If he can and he can motivate his team will be the best team without a doubt. It's just it rarely ever happens where he keeps his head at a level-headed.
Madcat is a player though that once he loses, he just he gets like angry and he wants to put that behind him and he wants to win so bad. So it could work either way, like Gunch said, or it could work the other way.
Get fueled by it. We'll see what's going to happen with Epsilon. They play Rise Nation a little bit later today, but here on the main stage, we're keeping it going with the winners matches. Up next, after the commercial break, we see FaZe taking on Infused.
rob my boner?
Here comes the money. Money, money,
Then up here to try to stop this push, but takes down Bose and he runs.
Interesting choice it would be, but he doesn't pull it. Gets it. There's one. Oh, and it's
no,
going to be
he's
close.
Snipe.
Oh,
He gets the
it.
second one. Clay, the MVP with the 2 snipe. All smiles, high fives coming from Attach. The birthday boy, able to pick it up.
Wow, and look at that, the accuracy there. And I mean, you know, in those close calls,
They didn't really have full control. They were defending the flank over and over again. And another thing with doing it, eventually you will get overwhelmed in that position. The other thing will be able to eventually break it, get like maybe get a 2-piece of touch. Oh my goodness!
There's the
Surely
4th 2.
Surely
Can he
not.
pick it up? He gets it.
Oh my
The entire team of TCM taken out in a matter of seconds. Attach, man, he is young. He is still developing as a player, but God, he is the stuff.
Finds one, finds a second. Still a chance for him to take the shot. Merc cleans it up. There's the 8.
They line up for him, and he gets both.
Oh, Kanchi. Yes, he does. 1 versus 2. Got by first. Formal and Formal just destroyed him in midair with the Moors in hand. 3 players, 4 down already. Optic Gaming comes out firing in round 1. Eventually, you will get overwhelmed in that position.